Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our next episode, I believe 4. We've kind of lost count, if we're being honest. We've pre-recorded some, we've done some live shows, but I think we're calling this episode 4. So welcome. Tonight is April the 24th, 2022. I am stepping into hosting duties this evening for Kenny. He has some things going on, so we wish him and the family the best, as always. But we're going to keep going on, and it will be what it is. So I am still joined by our lovely crew here. We've got Drew, Berrick, and Robby. So holding it down for the Swab clan with Robby there. Fellas, how we doing this week?
We good.
Yeah, man. It's been we've had some good games. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Several fun things with some great things to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime I feel like there's baseball on, it's like, how can we go wrong? Or especially for Drew and Robby and Ryan, who are still actively participating in baseball, either coaching or playing. So I do have some envy. This time of year, I always get that itch that I need to start working out or all this stuff. And we did a quick pop into Dick's Sporting Goods this evening, not a sponsor, but
Maybe one day.
It's always super hard, walking past the baseball stuff, and I don't have a reason to buy that stuff anymore. It's a little tough. It hurts the soul a little bit. So I don't know.
Low key, I remember going into Dick's Sporting Goods and thinking they have terrible baseball stuff. Have you been in there now?
They got some stuff.
Up their game a little bit.
They have a glove fitting section where somebody will actually break in the glove for you like you're a professional athlete. That's pretty dope. So Shout out to Dick's for upping their baseball game. So maybe like Berrick said, one day we will maybe we'll get them on. So
Lord knows we've spent enough money there, right? I think combined, we should get a piece back.
Yeah, no, I hear you. My golf budget has definitely gone up exponentially since starting to shop there. So,
yep.
Shoot.
All right.
At least they can break their gloves in themselves. Get that shaving cream kit out and a shoebox under the bed.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've got a slip disc in my back from sleeping with a glove under my mattress or something over the years. So.
Not doctor recommended.
No, yeah. We'll let Berrick talk on the medical advice of that. Oh, too funny. Well, typically, again, we are a Braves biased podcast, but so typically we would start off with a Braves/Orioles kind of wrap up or run through of the week. But this week we had a monumentous moment occur in baseball. And, to be honest, we'll get into it as we go. But congratulations, Miguel Cabrera, 3,000 hits. I feel like this, there was a lot of hype in the media, but I think just from baseball, standpoint, this is a pretty big deal. There are not that many players that are actually close to 3,000 hits when you look at the active players. And so, this is something that, honestly, I don't know when it may happen again. And so for Miguel Cabrera to do it, we're witness to it. I think all of us know, he has been just an unbelievable hitter. His bat to ball skills are, I would say,
phenomenal.
You got to put him up there in the top ever, right? I mean,
absolutely.
He's now joined a club, 3,000 hit club. Based on some of the research I did, there's only 33 members in the 3,000 hit club in the history of Major League Baseball. That's pretty stout.
500. He's also got 500 dingers, right?
Yep. So 500 homers. So the 500 home run club has 28 members in it. So he now joins a club that is very prestigious in terms of 3,000 hits, 500 home runs. I think it's a feat that I'm not sure if we'll see for a long, long time. So I'm any other thoughts on the Miguel Cabrera?
3,000 hits is it's tough. You got to play a long time. You got to be a really good hitter. I don't know. In our generation, it's going to be tough. I mean, I think somebody like Manny Machado is going to be pretty close. I don't know. Trout's been hurt so much that he may or may not get to it, depending on how long he wants to play. And the other thing is, this generation of player, they're getting paid a lot earlier, and they may not play as long. They, some like the football guys, they see their body breaking down. They're like, well, I've made my money. I'm good. I've done what I needed to do. They get their 10 years in, so they have their longevity, and they can always have their get their tenure in, and they're set for life. In all honesty, so it's going to be tough for some other people to get 3,000 hits. Go ahead, Berrick.
Yeah, I was got a question. This may be a dumb question, but from a technical standpoint, and you got to take out like all the steroid controversy and everything for this question, but is it more impressive from a technical standpoint to like hold like a hits record, like something like 3,000 hits, or a home run record? Because I kind of feel like to me it's more the hits, because it just takes there's more involved as far as like knowing the kind of like timing of where you are in the game, what kind of hits you need, versus home run is there's still a lot to it, but it's kind of comes down to more just power and in the end game.
I think you have to have supreme hand-eye bat ball contact. I mean that has to be extremely high, because you got to understand you're facing the best pitchers in the world, and getting 3,000 hits against those guys is not easy.
Yeah, because when I was thinking, like when I was looking at his numbers, because they were like I think Robby mentioned, so 3,000 hits and 500 homers. I was like, both of those are impressive, but I wonder, like from an inside baseball kind of standpoint, which one would be like more impressive as far as just like is it harder to get a record with just hits? Is it harder for the home run record? I just kind of thought it was interesting.
Honestly, I think Berrick, the list of people who have 500 home runs and 300 hits or 3,000 hits is extremely small, and I think in terms of baseball circles, yes, 3,000 hits is a huge number, and so is 500 home runs. But to be able to do both of them, I think that takes you above a 3,000 hit or a 500 home run person. I think. I mean, the big comparison is, it's not a comparison, but the thing that I think about when I hear about Miguel's career is Hank Aaron. Whereas Hank Aaron was a hit machine. If you take away every single one of his home runs, he still has 3,000 hits.
Mm-hmm.
So he hit over 755 home runs. You take away all those, he's still a 3,000 hit Major League Baseball player, which is a Hall of Famer. So like the power added on to it puts you in that level of player,
Yeah. All right, you ready? Here, I got Alex Avila from MLB put it out this week. 3,000 hits and 500 homers, only 6 guys. ARod, Palmeiro, Aaron, Mays, Pujols, Eddie Murray, Miguel Cabrera. 3,000 hits, 500 homers, 300 average. Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, Miguel Cabrera. 3,000 hits, 500 homers, 600 doubles. Hank Aaron, Pujols, and Miguel Cabrera. 3,000 hits, 500 homers, 2 MVPs. Miguel Cabrera, Willie Mays, Pujols, and ARod. Multiple batting titles and home run titles. 3,500, it was the Henry Aaron and Miguel Cabrera, and the only guy to have 3,000 hits, 500 homers, and the Triple Crown, Miguel Cabrera. So that's the kind of guy that this is how impressive it is for him. Because I mean, it's
he also made his debut. He also made his debut at 19.
That's what it's going to take, is for somebody to play from 19 to 39 or 35, whatever it may be, because otherwise you're not going to see this type of generational hitter ever again.
Yeah, thanks for finding that, Drew, because that was what I was looking for over here. So sorry if it looked like I was very busy, but that was actually the stats that I was looking for. And I think to answer your question, Berrick, like that's what it is. Sure, there are guys that are just naturally power hitters. Like that's what they're going to make their money doing, and that's how they're going to, that's what their legacy in the league is going to be. And then you have guys like I would say like an Ichiro or even a Pete Rose. Those guys knew how to hit the ball and get on base, and that's what their legacy is. And I think when we're sitting here and we're talking about a very select group of individuals that have done what he just did, I think it's a huge, powerful kind of thing for baseball. And I think it's one of those things that it's, I don't know when, like I said, when I open this, I don't know when we're going to see it happen again. It's very fascinating. So
let's compare it this way, Berrick. Nick Markakis has like 2,700 hits.
Yeah.
Who would you rather have at the plate, Markakis or Miguel Cabrera?
Yeah. As much as I like Markakis,
Yeah. No, again, and this isn't a shot on anybody that does anything.
No,
again, this is just a true celebration of what he has done in his career, and it's one of those things that, I think ultimately, again, he deserves all of the kudos that are coming his way, because he is truly now, I think a lot of people are seeing a once in a generation type player doing what he's done. So,
what did you all think of Aaron Boone walking him with on 299 on 2,999?
Yeah, I didn't mind it.
At the end of the game, you gotta win the game. That's his job, is to win baseball games.
Yeah.
And he did make a comment, though. It was a kind of a petty comment, but he said that Miguel, you cost me the World Series in 2003. You can sleep on 2,999. I call it even.
Yeah. I don't know if it was one of those things where this was Miguel Cabrera's last season and this was the last game of the year, and somebody intentionally walked him on 299 in his last at bat ever. That would be pretty ridiculous, I think. But again, we're early in the season. It was a foregone conclusion it was going to happen. I think trying to win a baseball game in that moment, I'm okay with it personally. But it's a tough look. So you're a couple managers. You're a couple managers. Are you just saying the hell with it? See what happens.
I am firmly yes. Let's rock and roll, bro. Here's the next part. You say, if this was a game in September, yes, you are playing to. That is one of them.
That's fair.
In April, you have the opportunity, to respect Miguel Cabrera and say, all right, Miguel, who's better, us or you? If you're better, you get 3,000. If we're better, you got to wait another day.
I like that mindset. I would agree with again. We're talking April baseball, so I get that. But at the same time, we talked a couple weeks ago. I think sometimes these April games come back and haunt you when it's just one. So say Miguel Cabrera goes Yahtzee there, and the Yankees lose that game, and then let's say they are one game behind Toronto in the standings at the end of the year. Is that something you circle and come back and say, probably should have walked him? I don't know.
That's where the GM and the owner get to come in and say, hey, here's a reason why we're firing you.
Boone's already had too long of her own way.
Not disagreeing. That's probably why he walked the guy.
Yep.
Just saying.
Well,
now that's me as a baseball fan.
Yeah,
that's me as a baseball fan.
To kind of segue,
I'm 100% walking Drew's big bopper if there's a base open and I got a chance to win the ball game.
And that didn't happen this week from a video that I saw.
No, it didn't. Crosstown rival coach decided he wanted to pitch, and Xavier had fun.
Hey.
We had fun. A lot of fun.
Gotta love the moxie. Gotta love the moxie. So
Yes.
So I think this does transition us just a little bit into talking about another, I would say, probably first ballot unanimous Hall of Famer in Albert Pujols. He is also approaching a pretty substantial milestone potentially as well, and that's kind of part of the conversation I wanted to throw out to you guys. So Albert Pujols is currently sitting at 781 in terms of, or 681. My fault. Woo. Let's slow down.
New record holder.
681 in home runs. Do we think that he will get to 700 since he has said this is his last year? So he's currently hit 2 home runs this year already. So he needed 21 home runs on the season. He needs 19 more. What are the thoughts of the group that do we think he gets there?
Having the DH in the NL.
Yeah, I think he gets there.
I think he's going to get there. I think it's going to be very close.
I think it's going to be up to the manager. Honestly, I think the managers and the situations they're going to put him in is really going to be key. I mean, if he's facing a bunch of tough righties, I mean, think about the NL East. Think about the NL pitchers: Strasburg, Scherzer, DeGrom, Morton.
When he's healthy.
If he's facing all of these really tough right-handed pitchers, those are being tough matchups. But Dodgers used him really well last year against left-handed pitchers. And if he can get some matchups against some really good left-handed pitchers, I think he could do it. But I just think it's going to depend a lot on how the managers use him.
I think he's facing some tough ones in the NL Central as well. I mean, there's Burns is not fun to hit against, nor is the Stroh Show. Those guys are not fun to hit against at all.
Nope.
Yeah.
Luckily, he's got a pretty good pitching staff on the Cardinals that he doesn't have to face. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
So
but even in Cincinnati, Hunter Green throwing 100 from that side. I'm right there with you. I personally think he's going to fall a little short. He is not hitting the amount of home runs versus right-handed pitching that he used to. He 100% takes advantage of that platoon lefty on the mound kind of aspect, in my opinion. So I personally think he's going to fall just short. I see him finishing somewhere in the 695 range potentially, which is a shame. I would love for him to get there. We're talking about this group. He also is in the 3,000 hit club. He is actually in the 3,600 home run club, which is an even shorter list of individuals. So I think it's one of those things, we'll see what happens. I would love to see him get there, but
it also kind of depends on how the team's doing, right? I mean, the guys hitting around him, like
true,
Goldschmidt and Arenado and Yadier Molina, those kind of guys. If they're absolutely raking it, then he might get a few more balls to hit, a little easier ones to hit. So
true.
That's a good thing. Is why I think it's going to be close, is because Arenado, Goldschmidt, they're going to hit. I mean, they're going to hit, and then it's going to be like, do I want to pitch to him? Do I want to pitch to him, or do I want to pitch to an aging Pujols?
Right.
And
right.
Honestly, at this day and age, I'm going to pitch to the aging Pujols, and hope and pray that doesn't bite me in the rear end.
Right, and that gives them more opportunities. So
correct.
Well, and you saw it happen last year in the playoffs against Atlanta. He was part of that inning where Tyler Matzek came in and got Luke Jackson out of the jam with 2 runners on, nobody out. Pujols was one of those hitters that came in and honestly looked a little funny on a slider. A couple sliders in that at bat. So I'm with you, Drew. I think given some of the bats in their lineup, I think I may take my chances there. Now, dude is a first ballot Hall of Famer with almost 700 home runs. So, we're back into that Miguel Cabrera conversation of just kind of, the respect level of that. But I think history has shown, in the Pujols situation that he has deteriorated slightly in that world, which is I mean, understandable. That's not a shot at the guy.
Honestly, the fact that he's still playing at all, I think, is kind of surprising because I mean, there was a couple of years where it just felt like he was already gone, like he was already out of baseball, and the fact that we're talking about him actually, I think, is kind of impressive.
Yeah.
Not that we need to spend a whole bunch of time on St. Louis, but Harrison Bader, what a kind of a slow start for him this year. I kind of liked him. I don't know. I just thought he was kind of somebody that could have a really good year. He's pretty cold to start the year.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Cardinals are going to be a huge beneficiary of that division. As we see, they will obviously have to battle Milwaukee, but I think that they're going to have the extreme benefit of Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Chicago's still kind of a wild card up in the air, but still, Milwaukee is 100% their competition there, and so we'll definitely see what continues to come from that. I do find it very fascinating. We're just talking about, again, that's why I said this kind of segued us very well into the conversation of kind of some of the best hitters of all time. Again, Pujols, 3,000 hits, over 600, almost 700 home runs. Also ranks third all time in RBIs, behind only Hank Aaron and Babe Ruth. It's
a decent list.
He's like 70-ish RBIs behind Babe Ruth for second all time. So he needs 46 plus 13. 59. So he needs 59 more. Well, maybe 60. He needs 60. He needs 60 to pass. So that's another question I'll throw out. So is he getting to 700 home runs, and is he going to pass Babe Ruth for RBIs?
If he gets to 700, yes.
Ooh, see, I think he's going to get to 700, but I don't think he's going to get the RBI number.
I'm torn. I am. Because I don't think it's possible. I don't think he'll get to the RBIs without the home runs, and I've already said I don't think he gets to the home runs. So
yeah.
I'm kind of. I guess I would have to put him in the camp of I don't think he's going to get to either.
Then does he come back to try and finish the job?
I don't think he can at this point, but
little Bernie Mac, Mr. 3000 situation.
Yeah. Literally, he comes back as soon as he gets it. He retires. He's like, I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah.
So
if he's 2 away, if he's 2 home runs away, if he gets to 698,
as a competitor, how could you not come back?
You think he's done?
I don't know.
So I'm going to throw something on the other end here. Does the divorce of his wife have anything to play with us right now?
I didn't even know that was happening.
Yeah.
I don't. That is such a strange situation.
Yes.
I don't even know what to say about that, to be honest.
Because
they've been married a long time. Not that
21, 22 years.
They got what? I don't want to guess.
4 or 5 kids.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. 4 or 5 kids.
And it's not that it's going to hurt him. Does it fuel his fire a little more to prove people wrong? Maybe
it could distract him. I mean,
that's the other thing. Could it distract him?
Yeah, I was going to say when you said it wouldn't hurt him, or it could go either way.
I don't know. That's very fascinating. Good point, Drew. Does that mean he spends more time at the baseball field now? And he's doing a lot more tee work, watching a lot more video. I don't know.
Sure.
Or is he spending more time in lawyers' offices?
Exactly.
Games?
I don't know. It's a fascinating. It's a fascinating point. So I don't know. Either way, whether he gets there or not, definitely. Again, first ballot. I don't. So he did kind of come through that steroid era, but I feel like he came through somewhat clean-ish. I don't recall any major, people coming after him for that. So I think we could be looking at another potential unanimous, maybe.
I don't think he'll be unanimous. Unfortunately, I don't think we're ever going to see another one.
Yeah, baseball is so against that.
It's crazy to me because
if Derek Jeter and Ken Griffey Jr. aren't unanimous, then who is?
Yeah,
Mariano Mariano was the only unanimous one, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
man,
just
I don't
when I sit here and look at his statistics, it's just, his bat would have played in any era, any time, and I just, again, for him to have been in the steroid quote unquote era and lived through it and survived it. Again, he was on the tail end of it, I guess I would say, but still, to not have his name attached to that, I just feel like I don't know. I guess I would have to agree just because it doesn't happen that often, but I think in Miguel Cabrera and Albert Pujols both, I don't see how you make an argument.
Yeah, that's the Drew hit it on the nail. These are all they should be. They probably won't, but at this point, it's like who really cares? Like popular opinion should be okay.
Yeah,
and I mean, both. Well, I don't know how much Cabrera has done, outside of baseball, but I know Pujols has his foundations, especially in St. Louis, where he is now, that he did so much community work. So I know that doesn't really affect anything with the Hall of Fame, but that does tell you what kind of person he actually is. And that says, a whole heck of a lot.
for sure.
I do know, Cabrera was brought in on the steroid stuff. Jose Canseco, whatever you say on his book, true, false, whatever, indifferent, his name was brought into it. And every guy that pretty much he has named in his books, he hasn't been wrong about. Unfortunately, he hasn't been wrong about. So, is what it is. Miguel Cabrera, it's not changing anything he's done. I'll tell you that now. It's not changing anything at all.
Yeah, I hear you. And he hasn't said anything about this being his last year, has he?
I don't think so, but his contract, it depends on his contract right now.
Yeah.
And whether or not he's going to continue to play or not. I mean, he is getting up there in age. So that plays a factor, especially now. I mean, the game is young. I think most of your average guys are 23 to 25, something like that. So
the Orioles are bringing that statistic as down as far as possible.
Absolutely, they are. And I mean, Cabrera's 39 years old. So I mean,
yeah. I don't want to spend too much time on the topic just because it wasn't really on our list. But I mean, do we kind of think the days of 38, 39, 40-year-old players are they leaving us here? Are we losing some of these leadership guys because the game is quote unquote too fast? Miguel Cabrera and Albert Pujols, I don't see them legging out many doubles these days. It's either a jog around the bases over the fence or it's
Pujols did score from first the other night.
I missed that. So
okay, he was chugging it.
If he's still pulling that trailer, I'm for it. So
he was thinking about his divorce. He was running
from it.
I think it's a pendulum, Scotty. I think it's a pendulum. I mean, obviously, young baseball players are very valuable, but I do think, like anything, too much in one direction, there's going to be some significant trade-offs. And I think you see it already.
Sorry, go ahead, Robby.
No, you see it already. I mean, how many of these young baseball players get into postseason and you see them either rise to the occasion or shrink to the occasion? But I always see it as just basic situational stuff. It becomes a lot harder for younger players to move a runner or for young pitchers to pitch around a good hitter carefully, things like that. The people who are succeeding, Jorge Soler is not a young baseball player. He's younger, but last offseason or last postseason, man, he was on the barrel of everything. Because he had he's an experienced guy. He knows what people are trying to do, and he's really aggressive. And he's, same thing with Eddie Rosario, Jock Peterson. Like, you're talking about guys with 5, 6, 7, 8 years of big league baseball experience. Mm-hmm. And those types of players perform at the end of the season. So I think there's always going to be a place for them. I just think it's going to be up to clubs to properly value those people.
Yeah, I hear you.
And Cabrera is not his last year. He's still got 2 years after this on his contract.
Okay, fair enough.
He had an after set. How many home runs does he have right now? Anybody got that up?
502.
Okay. So he's a ways off from 700.
Yeah, it's let's see, one more year, 2023, and I think he has 2 club options for 24 and 25, if I'm reading that correctly.
Okay.
It's a mutual option for 24 and 25, so that would be 41 and 42.
I still think Pujols. Wait. No, there's somebody who's close to 700, right? ARod? Is ARod at 696?
Yes, that's correct.
Man.
Yeah.
I like to see Pujols pass him at least. Just personal preference. Sorry.
It would be nice to kind of knock him down just a notch, you know. That could bring on the ARod comeback train, though.
Drew, are you not a fan of Jennifer Lopez's ex?
Well, that's the reason he would come back, right, to get her back. Because, I mean, you know, we're going back to the 2000s. Jennifer and Ben are back together. Brittany's pregnant again. I mean, come on. What's going on?
There you go. Too funny. Yeah, I totally agree, though, with that. I think if you watch Miguel Cabrera's post-game locker room talk after he got 3,000, that is why you need that generation still in the clubhouse. If you haven't checked that out, go check out, I believe it's MLB's Twitter from Saturday afternoon, and they will share that. You can find that there.
Is it gonna make me emotional? Because you know I'm emotional with that stuff.
It'll make you run through a wall. It was pretty legit. He didn't go sappy with it. He went kind of motivational with it.
Well, it was just like, you know, with the 2,999 where he didn't get pitched to, and he's like, they were asking, you know, do you care about, you know, not getting pitched to? He's like, F it. We lost. I don't care. I don't care about that. We want to win. And that's the other reason you need him as well.
Yeah, it's a mentality for sure. Mm-hmm. For sure. All right. Let's transition a little bit. We're going to start here. Are the Orioles a sleeper this year? Question mark.
Hold on.
The Orioles have played 16 games as of, I believe, the moment that we're recording this. They've won 6 of those games, which is almost half of them. If they continue this pace, I believe that puts them on roughly a 70-win season, which, if I recall our previous episodes, I don't believe we had anybody that thought they were going to be close to 70. So,
Scotty, this is the most condescending. This is the most condescending tone I've ever heard of you, Scotty.
Wait, Berrick. Didn't they lose a key arm this week?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you got to pump the brakes because there's 2 reasons you got to pump the brakes. One, John Means, I mean, when you lose him, especially considering how young and frankly, I'm not gonna say bad, but untested that the rest of their rotation is, that's gonna be a huge loss. The other thing to remember is that they did this last year, where they started out pretty hot and they got my hopes up. Everybody else who follows the Orioles, and then they just were like, just kidding, and everything crashed and burned. So, it's going to come back. Everything will kind of regress back to the mean, unfortunately. You know, Ryan Mountcastle's playing really well, which he probably will continue to play well. But guys like, you know, Anthony Santander, although I like to call him Santander, he's playing well, and that will probably cut it out. And then, you know, if they bring up some of the young guys, even though they're going to play really well, they're going to have more bad nights than good nights at first. So, it's gonna regress to the means. I mean, they're going to, you know, sneak up on you, like again taking 2 from the Angels. They'll do a couple of those things, but I don't think. If their win number starts with a 7, I think that would be I'm buying lottery tickets if that happens.
Well, I mean, you got DL Hall that's about to start rehab. You got Adley Rutschman that's about to start rehab. You got some guys that are coming on the way. I know DL and Adley are going to be in Aberdeen in the next week or so. So you've got some guys that are going to come up and help out. And just like I told you before we went live, I mean, I went and watched them. They're a high A ball team play because I have a former guy that plays in their high A system, and there's a lot of talent in that. That Aberdeen team is very good, and as they progress and learn and play more games together, they're going to be a really good group if you keep them together. Kind of like when Ryan, that 2012 class, that 2013, 2014, when they all played together through the A's farm system and then got to the show, and all of a sudden, the last 5 years, Oakland A's were really good, and that was a majority of that draft class that played together all the way from, at that point in time, rookie ball all the way up through AA, AAA, all the way through to the show. And they got a chance to be good down the road. What do we say, 24, 25? It might be good
years,
again. Yeah. It's coming.
I think a few of us said 2030, but
yeah. That was World Series, by the way.
The question is really more about, like, and this could be a topic for another time. We don't have to go into it much, but, like, who are they going to move at the trade deadline is going to be more, everybody's the big name is Trey Mancini, which obviously, well, they could trade. I think they're going to keep Mullins because I think they really like him and how young he is. But Mancini is somebody that most Orioles fans would love to keep, but realistically, they're probably going to trade him, which is too bad. And again, if that happens, that's going to affect their win number, for sure. So,
yeah, most definitely. Yeah, it was kind of comical in my opinion. I did not expect them to have 6. The Reds, from what I see, are currently the worst team in the league with a 3-13 record. I kind of expected
took 2 from the Braves, so what does that tell you?
Yeah, but nonetheless,
it's early.
Yeah. What's the expiration date on that phrase? Like
All-Star break,
Memorial Day? Yeah. June 4th. It's early, guys. Early.
All-Star break turns into the panic red button, like pressing it very hardly. I mean, what Austin Riley said it today, like, we're way too early to be panicking. And it's 7-10. We're okay. We're okay.
True.
Well, for the 2021 Atlanta Braves, that its early was August 1st.
Yeah.
True.
And didn't somebody pick the Tigers, or not the Tigers? Didn't somebody pick the Rangers or something to do really well this year?
I think there were some people that picked them to win that division. I don't remember offhand who that was.
Yeah,
I think it
was
was me.
How's that going?
Yeah, not great, I would say so far. Yeah, where is that on our sheet?
Oh,
here?
Kenny. Oh, he's not here. Darn.
Oh, add that for next week.
Definitely.
We're going to talk about it. Talk about it now with 6 in a row.
Make fun of Kenny for picking the Rangers. Check.
Somebody clip the video. So the last thing I just want to say about the Orioles real quick is
more Orioles talk. Good Lordy, this is insane.
Don't be jealous, Robby.
I find it comical sometimes how politically correct players have to be with their things. Did any of you guys happen to catch John Means' tweet when he kind of was like announcing his injury and all that kind of stuff? The last sentence of his tweet just caught me funny because it said he can't wait to see what this team does for the rest of the year. I don't know how closely John Means is going to follow the Orioles team the rest of the season while he's rehabbing that. So the question I just wanted to pose as a very quick thing is, do you think you would have the capability to stay as politically correct as these players have to be in a lot of their announcements? I'll go first with this, and that is no, because there is no shot I could have put that line in the end of that tweet. I would have said, I'm going to go rest on a beach in Cabo and ice this arm up, and I'll see y'all next spring training.
You got to remember, though, I think a lot of them, my answer would be no as well. I think everybody's answer would be no, including the current players, because I think a lot of them are using a publicist to, put some of this together, or at least, running it by a publicist or somebody just like, hey, how does this sound? So, I think that's their saving grace. Otherwise, I think they probably say the same stuff we would.
Yeah. Too funny.
They're not so different. They're not so different, you and I.
They put their pants on one leg at a time.
That's right. I used to say that a lot when Robby and I did the Cal Ripken camps over the summer, because we were meeting some pretty influential people, and people would say they put their pants on the same way we do. And I said, yeah, but there's way a little bit more with all that coin in their pockets. So, they got that going for them for sure.
I still remember when I almost hit Billy Ripken's Suburban with the pitching machine. Oof, that was a bad one.
Hey.
Whew.
They were a sponsor, so I don't believe it would have been a problem. So,
yeah.
All right.
Low key though, how come the Aberdeen Ironbirds weren't as good when we were up there, Scotty, 10 years ago?
Hey, I will say, shout out Aberdeen Ironbirds. One of the best game day experiences I've had is sitting in like a semi-club suite level and just literally stuffing my face with blue crabs for an entire 8-inning ball game. That's one of the best baseball ballpark experiences I've ever had. That was so legit. So
happy birthday, Robby.
That's right. That's right. I am thankful for your birth every year. So
we were celebrating the birth.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So the reason I went with the Orioles first is I felt like we were going to get some actual good talk in there, but fellas,
we totally did.
Fellas, what is happening? I'm not sitting here. I'm not going to do a sky is falling and Chicken Little and run around. It's early. But where I guess I'm just the consistency just all across the board. The starters, for the most part, seem to be providing us some consistency. The bullpen seems a bit up and down. When they are good, they are good. And that was one of the strong points that we really touted on at the beginning of the year. Offense, I don't know. It's kind of frustrating to watch some of the games. They're hitting well, and then all of a sudden they can't get a hit. So
it's going to change when Ronald comes back.
Yeah. Do we think that's the magic piece?
That is going to change things. It'll change the dynamic of the lineup too, because putting him and Olsen, your best two hitters, back to back, and then Riley's been swinging it well at times, and it helps out.
In that top of the lineup, man, it's really not. It's
the bottom, and now you can move Ozzie down to the bottom to get production out of the bottom half of your order, and now you'll see some stuff start rolling through like you're supposed to.
Telling you, Swanson with the strikeout bug. Rosario has looked like a shell of himself.
Well, Rosario and Dickerson have not been very good at all.
No, they have really not been any sort of lefty.
Yeah, I'm really looking back, wishing that Kevin Kiermaier signing would have happened. That would have been massive,
huge,
but we missed out. So it is what it is. So what do we think? So like we've sent this back and forth in the group chat a few times. Obviously, when Acuna comes back, which is, just to touch on that real quick as part of the conversation, he's looked pretty impressive so far in his rehab assignment with the Gwinnett Snipers. He's stealing bases. He looks good in the outfield. I think his timing is obviously going to need, the MLB timing is going to have to get back there a little bit once he comes back, but he seems to be swinging it very well. He had a very funny interaction with a home plate umpire. I did feel like he big leagued that umpire just a little bit, but it was comical nonetheless when he took that strike call and continued to still walk down to the first base line and then turned around and said, basically, "Are you serious?" To which he said yes, and then the very next pitch was like another foot outside, and then he kind of stood there for a second to confirm that the guy was going to call it. So, but again, he's a Major League Baseball player, and that ump is probably on a good career trajectory to make it to the pros because he made it to AAA, but he's not quite there yet. So we'll give him the benefit of that doubt. But nonetheless, so the point of the question after that ramble for a second, what do we think the Braves lineup is going to look like when he comes back? Obviously, Ronald will slide into the one hole. I think Snitker has learned his lesson that he does not need to play with that any longer in terms of trying to hit him second or third. So do we feel like it's going to match a little bit of how it did last year? Just insert Olsen for Freeman and kind of look like Acuna, Olsen, Riley. And then so I think we're pretty set at the top three. It's kind of 4 through 9. That's kind of my question and kind of where you guys think that'll fall.
I mean, I think you can easily put Ozzy in the 4 hole. It's not like ideal, but
yeah,
you could easily put Ozzy in the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. Honestly,
true.
I personally, I would love to put him in the 9 hole, and then you got him in front of Ronald and Matt Olson, and then but that's just my preference. And I mean, Ozuna hasn't done bad in the 4 hole. Duvall needs to figure it out, and it's going to be a lot easier for him with less pressure in the outfield with Acuna out there.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I think it depends righty lefty. Honestly, I think you can put Ozzy too if it's against the lefty. He's an absolute animal hitting right-handed.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't mind that.
I think if you see a righty, or a lefty, it's going to be Acuna, Ozzy, then Matt Olson, and Ozuna, or Riley Ozuna. I think you could do that.
What if you put Ozzy in the 3? What if you put Ozzy in the 3? And then shift Riley?
You could do that, but right now, I mean, that's your power guy, which is cool. It's a good problem to have. I think the key to this whole thing going is to get competitive at bats. I mean, Swanson's swing and miss has come back. I think you need competitive big league at bats from Rosario, Swanson, and the rest of the funky bunch down there, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Darno has been hitting pretty well, which that's. Acuna going in there just slides everybody down one. It's kind of like how the bullpen went from being really good to elite when they put Kenley Jansen in the back of the bullpen. Just slides everybody down one.
Fair.
So I think having Ronald up there is going to be awesome. I think it's only going to go if the bottom third can pick it up.
Yeah. What do we think about
play?
I know. The strikeouts are killing me too. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say that obviously I would be doing any better. The big league pitching has obviously gotten significantly better, but I think as a big leaguer, there is some expectation to put the ball in play, and the Braves don't seem to be doing that at a highly efficient rate at the current moment. So I think that is a fair assessment of the team in so far this season. Go ahead, Barry.
Everybody, I'm just going to say something real quickly. I know everybody is on here as Braves fans, so I'm not trying to bring the mood down, but I feel like, unless you're the New England Patriots, like there's always this hangover, I feel like, after you win the big one. And it's just like, it's almost, I wish somebody would do a study on it. Like I know there's some statistics out there about, how hard it is to not only repeat, but also just, even make the playoffs. But I don't know, there's some kind of it's a mental block for teams after they win it all, and it's just like you almost kind of expect that it's going to be a rough road the next year, and I think that's I hope that's not the case for the Braves when it's all said and done, but it always seems to happen.
Somebody's got to break it, Berrick.
That's true.
That's what I would be preaching in the clubhouse is I would keep with the why not us mentality.
It's hard to do that though. After once you've won it, I guess it's hard to keep that same level of want to, I guess. But
fair enough. Anybody have any specific thoughts they want to share on the Jesse Chavez pickup that we made this week? I don't hate it. I mean, I'll just say that. I don't mind it. And it seemed, Sean Newcomb, I think fits into this consistency talk. He just hasn't been very consistent for the Braves. Has come in some situations and just struggled to throw strikes for whatever the reason. So I think this is another win-win situation for both teams. Sean Newcomb kind of gets a fresh start. He gets to work with a fresh staff over there in Chicago. And obviously, we're not going to sit here and try to bash guys. We obviously, want the best for him and his future. But he's now not a Brave, so we're not going to talk about him in terms of pulling for him. But
screw him.
Yeah. But I don't mind having Jesse back. I think he fits a unique role where he can give you some innings. The Braves seem to have a rotation somewhat working. I think a lot of us are kind of holding our breath a little bit for Soroka, and if he's going to be able to make a return to what he was pre-injury a couple years ago. I certainly would love to see that, obviously, but if he comes back, I think that gives you, from a rotation standpoint, you've got Soroka, Morton, Fried, Anderson, and Wright. That's a solid 5, in my opinion.
And Wright's been very good. Wright
has looked very good, and he has been able to fix the strike issue that Sean Newcomb was unable to, in my opinion. I believe I saw a statistic, and I don't have it pulled up to fact check it, but I believe Wright leads the major leagues in fewest walks allowed. So, again, he has really put himself in a position to get outs and go deep in ball games, which has been a sight to see. So, I don't know. We've kind of talked a little bit about that kind of 6th rotation spot where we've had Spencer Strider in there. He hasn't necessarily looked great, but again, it's his kind of first action up there. But I think Jesse Chavez gives you a much more consistent role in that kind of 6th spot potentially. So that's one of the reasons that I like it, I think, the best. So any other thoughts on the Jesse Chavez pickup?
No. Schwarber just got ejected by Angel Hernandez, so that should be a good video to watch tomorrow.
Shocker.
It's going crazy in Philly. It's going crazy in Philly right now. Nola went 7 shutouts, struck out like 1,000, and they're about to lose.
Yeah,
He went 7 innings, had a 1 hit, 1 walk, 9 Ks, and they're losing 1-0.
Yeah. Well, you could, I guess, say a little bit about that Red Sox-Rays game yesterday. Same kind of situation. The Rays throw a combined no-hitter through 9 innings, and all of a sudden we go to the 10th inning where they get a free runner who hadn't touched second base pretty much the whole freaking game, and all of a sudden they take a 2-run lead in the 10th. Thankfully for the Rays, they come back and win it in dramatic fashion and salvage – That has to be the first time in Major League history that a team would have lost throwing a no-hitter through 9 innings. I would be willing to lose some money on a bet on that without the fact checked, but it sounds like the same type of situation could be brewing there in Philly. Not to the same extent of a no-hitter, but
so since we missed last week because of Easter, let's start back. Back. Clayton Kershaw, perfect through 7, 80 pitches.
80, right on the number. Yeah, I've tussled with this.
I understand a little bit because number one, it's not exactly warm in Minnesota in this time of year.
Nope.
I understand he had arm issues last year. Okay, but it's a freaking perfect game.
It's a perfect game.
There's a very short list of those guys. It's kind of like 700 home runs, 3,000, 4,000 hits. Very short list.
It's not even a short list. Go ahead, Robby.
He was not going back out. Like David Roberts was not taking him out of that ball game unless Clayton Kershaw wanted to come out of that ball game. If Clayton Kershaw comes up to David Roberts and says, I want to go back out, there's no way David Roberts is saying, no, you're not going back out. So they both had to be on the same page. Kershaw had to be on the same page.
The fact that Clayton Kershaw didn't go Wolf of Wall Street and just say, I'm not leaving, I'm
not leaving.
Yeah. I don't understand why you wouldn't do that. It makes you almost kind of worried that worried about Clayton. Was something not right? I don't know.
Honestly, Berrick, I think it was, Clayton was a free agent pickup. I think it was after the strike, correct?
Yes.
So after the strike, he probably didn't throw enough and probably didn't feel like he had enough I don't know if I can say stamina because I'm sure he has stamina. But he may felt like that he hadn't built up enough to that. And that's the only thing I can really think of is that 80 pitches at this point in the year is probably like, okay, I'm done. Come on, come get me.
I guess, but
I'm sitting there and I'm like, you've got a chance to be a part of a very elite, small group of perfect games, and they ain't sniffing you in the next 2 innings, brother. I'm sorry, they're not.
It's hard, and it's easy to sit here, I guess, and say it, but I think you throw until your arm falls off. If you got a chance at a perfect game, yeah.
And I mean, worst case scenario, what they do, they build him they miss his next start, or they add a 6th starter in, or if they have an off day and it was his turn to start, they just skip it. I mean, just so many different things and variables that you can throw in there. But
yeah,
it is what it is now. Right?
If Kershaw had wanted to go out there, he would have gone out there. Period. There's no way somebody from the Dodgers was telling him to stay out there or to stay in the dugout if he wanted to go back out there. There's no way.
You'd still be surprised, Robby. You'd be surprised.
But either way, so let's go with that being true. Again, that's almost worse in my opinion. Again, the fact that he's like, yeah, all right, I'm good. I'm I hit 80. I'm tired.
I'm not gonna say he was tired. It's probably
that was probably bad.
It was probably more like this is what we're thinking. This is what we want to do. Are you cool with this? And he says, okay, yeah, I'm cool with that. It was probably more like that rather than them telling him what to do. But whatever.
Yeah.
David Roberts guaranteed a World Series victory, so
yeah,
whatever you got to do.
Yeah, I definitely understand the sentiment. Like you said, Drew, you're not even necessarily yes, it's a short list of pitchers that have done that, but it's a short list of the number of times it's been done in baseball as well. And so I definitely understand that sentiment, but I also feel like Kershaw is a little bit kind of beyond. I mean, again, those guys are out there because they are the highest of their competitive levels. So I'm not going to say he doesn't ever want to throw a perfect game, but I think he understood it's April. He's not going to throw his arm out and risk not being able to throw in a World Series because that, I think, is all he's worried about. He pitched and played for so long to get that World Series monkey off his back. I think he values a second ring over any other accolade in the game. And so I think he has that level head enough, like Robby was saying, to say, I'm good. And to your point as well, I believe I read right around when that happened that he said he didn't really pick up a ball till January. So
that part makes more sense to me. The part about thinking that far ahead or planning that far ahead for the I don't know, that to me that's just there's so many things that could or might happen in between now and in a World Series.
That's true.
If that's his reason, I'd be like, man, that's weak. That's kind of weak to me.
So let me throw out this hypothetical part then on this whole thing. Let's say that game's in LA, where it's a little bit warmer.
I think that changes.
I think that changed. Honestly, I think being in Minnesota changes a lot of that because we've played in it. Berrick, you played football in it. And we've all played baseball in it. 40 degrees baseball.
It's not fun.
Zero fun. Zero fun.
Zero fun, sir.
Sir.
Yes.
You smiling? Hey, Barry, I have to give you massive credit. I'm not going to do this off podcast. Your Wolf of Wall Street reference, that was
awesome.
That epitomized that moment to a T. That was hot. Big kudos to you, sir. Big kudos to you. So we'll just wrap
Love
up the
them
Braves
to
talk
zero.
real quick. Yeah, we'll wrap up Braves talk with just a look ahead. So the week ahead of
Two winnable series.
We do. So we're off Monday. I would say a welcome off day at this point.
Absolutely.
3 home games against Chicago, and then we go back on the road with 3 in Texas, and then 3 back in New York to face the Mets. Actually, that's 4 games because Tuesday is a doubleheader from what I'm seeing here. So, but then we do get a travel day, off day on Thursday, and then wrap up the week with a home series against Milwaukee, which fun times. So, but it is at home. So that's good news for them on that.
We'll get the last at bat, baby. Last at bat.
That's right. So we are approaching the hour. Don't want to go too far over. There is one topic that I would kind of like to close us on here because I think it is very pertinent to the baseball world, and I think this group will have some interesting takes on it. I know Drew has a real life take that has happened with him recently, and so unwritten rules. Gabe Kapler has made headlines for the second time this year with some comments post-game where the Giants have ruffled some feathers regarding the quote-unquote unwritten rules of baseball where you do not run the score up on your opponent. So the latest incident, they were up 6 runs, I believe, in the 8th inning, and they had a guy get on first who then proceeded to steal second base and then proceeded to score on a single, attempted to score. I believe he was thrown out at home plate on the play, attempted to score from second on a single. And the Nationals were not very pleased. I believe it was Alcides Escobar yelling at their dugout in disapproval of the whole situation. So Gabe Kapler has basically come out and said, the point of baseball is to score runs and win ball games, and their team is not going to let up off of the gas pedal of scoring runs because it, one, will help them eat into the opposing team's bullpen to allow them to see different arms throughout the or see more tired arms throughout the series, but also that the point of baseball is to score runs and win games. And the kind of like secondary argument that he used for this latest incident was that they scored 7 runs in 1 inning in that game. So why can't the Nationals score 7 runs to take the lead in that situation? And I, for one, 100% believe in that part of the argument. A team that gets upset of you trying to score runs, essentially to me is basically telling you we are giving up in this game and no longer believe that you need to score any runs because we are not going to try to score any more runs. But we all know that that's not what they're saying. They're just pissed because they can't get them out. So I've laid it out there. Drew, do you want to start with your thoughts?
I'll go with a little bit, just saying, I if Kapler wants to dish it out, he better be able to full and well take it when somebody does it to him. If he comes back and says something about these rules after someone does it to him, he has just negated everything he went through and BS'd over the last 2 weeks.
Agreed.
Because if look, dude, if somebody goes up and bunts on you and you're getting your butt handed to you 10-1, and it's because they're trying, you've put a shift out there and you're going to bunt, better wear it. If you're down 8-1 and somebody's stealing on you and they try to score on a base hit to the outfield, wear it. Because if you can't wear it, you need to be quiet. This week for us, Friday night, had a pitcher, crosstown rival, throwing a no-hitter. We're up 10-0, bottom of the 6th. We're on the road. They have 9-1-2 coming up, 9-hole hitter. What's the first thing he does? He tries to bunt for a hit to break up the no-hitter. Our third baseman promptly drilled the runner in the back of the head down the first baseline. Luckily, it went down as an error because the runner was still in the grass, not in the dirt, so it wasn't even been close to a hit. I guess it kind of ticked off our pitcher. It kind of ticked us off a little bit, and our pitcher proceeded to throw 10 fastballs next and struck out their 1-2-3 hitters with 10 fastballs. So, it rubs some people the wrong way that you're going to try to break up a no-hitter trying to bunt, especially down 10-0. I mean, you're down 10-0 for a reason. You're getting no hit for a reason. Bunting, if you wanted to bunt in the first, second, third, you know what? Fair game. But the last inning of a game, you're getting crushed. Let those guys swing it. That's just my thing. Perfect game, no hitters. Those are special things. Let the kids decide those. Don't go up there and try to ruin it with a bunt. I will be honest. Our guy late in the game, top of the sixth, our 5-hole hitter tried to bunt, and I got really upset at him. Told him that is not what we're doing. We're up 9-0. We don't need to bunt. Swing the bat. And at the end of the day, he actually hit a ground ball to second base, got an out, and knocked in a run to make the 10th run. That's why, I think we were a little more upset, and honestly may have been the reason why they tried to bunt to start the bottom of the sixth. But I verbatim yelled that to our batter not to do that. One of their guys in their dugout said, "That's correct. Don't do that." And I was like, "I know, I got him." But, there's some things that go on, this day and age too, bat flips showing people up. If you're going to do that kind of stuff, just understand that there's unwritten rules that one of your teammates may get drilled. You may get drilled. You can get hurt because of you doing stupid things like that. That's just the stuff that we're seeing in this day and age, that the old school baseball players are the old school in us that want to see things done correctly. And it's a fine line, very, very fine line.
Scotty, I know you like to listen to Pat McAfee's show.
Yeah.
And what does he say? Situations are situational.
For sure.
I kind of think and I think that's true with on the unwritten rules is it depends on the situation. It depends on, I don't think, in a way, I kind of think they're unwritten rules, and they're unwritten for a reason, because it just kind of depends on what's going on in the game, where you are. And I think Drew just kind of laid out, a perfect example of how, bunting and those kind of scenarios kind of depends on what's going on. So, I think I personally, I wouldn't have a problem at all with running what happened in the Giants Nationals game. I think that's just some grown men from DC complaining. What else is new? But it does kind of depend. I think it kind of depends on what's happening, and I think it's kind of personal too. Like when it comes to unwritten rules, it's your personal decision. Like I don't like this, but if somebody else thinks it's okay, then that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I can relate to Kapler too, because in all honesty, last year we went over in another real life situation here. We go over to play Reagan, and we score 7 runs in the top of the first. They scored 17 in the bottom of the first.
Oh, God.
And then we scored 2 more in the top of the second. And then they came back and scored some more. Well, we didn't score in the third, fourth, or fifth. But I promise you this, in the 4th inning, after we hadn't scored any in the last 2 innings, he was still running those dudes and still running those dudes, because he understood that, God, they might score 7 more runs.
You just scored 7. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we might score 7 more runs again. At that point in time in the game, in all honesty, our guys were done.
Sure.
We were done. Completely done. High school kids, done. And I get a little upset about that, because I'm like, dude, we're out of this thing now. You don't have to keep sending dudes from second on a single. You're up 15 runs right now. You don't have to keep doing this. And, it's one of those things that I've jotted in the back of my memory. And, it's one of the things that all of us, we know Alan Plaster. And it's one of those things where he says, it'll come back and bite you. If you run the score up on somebody 3, 4, 5 years down the road, when your team's not as good and the other team you're running up on is good, they'll return the favor to you. They will absolutely return the favor to you. So if you can't if you're going to dish it out, you better be able to take it. And I think that's the whole big thing with unwritten rules.
I was going to say it's kind of a life lesson, right? I mean, whether you're on whichever side you're on, it's a like if you're the team that's getting absolutely demolished and they keep running their guys and running the score up. I mean, yeah, it's not awesome, but it's at the same time it's a good teaching lesson for the kids that, hey, sometimes you're just going to get absolutely, dump trucked, and you got to pick yourself up and keep plugging along. So,
yeah. You have any thoughts, Robby? Not to put you on the spot. It's cool if you don't. So.
No, I have several thoughts. One, I don't understand in what world in a Major League Baseball game 6 runs is considered a massive, insurmountable lead.
Yep.
Especially now
when you're so I get that. The larger unwritten rule, I think the basic problem that we deal with, that all of this kind of comes into, is respecting your opponent. When you see a lot of the bat flips and a lot of the gestures and a lot of the hurt feelings and things like that, I think it comes from not respecting your opponent. Without them, you don't have a game. And if we had a game earlier this past week with the team I coach, and we scored 16 runs in the bottom of the second inning. And I very clearly told them, if we're up 10, we're not advancing on a pass ball. If we're up 15, we're not advancing on, we're not trying to steal. Up until that point, we're playing our ball game and trying to teach these people and these young men how to win with humility and to respect their opponent regardless. Because I'll tell you this, and Drew, you are very right about this. Some of the things that I heard out of our dugout have no doubt been said about us. And so, kind of keeping that in the back of your head. And now these are grown men. We're not trying to teach them how to be men, like we are in high school. But I think the symptom is the same. Is if you're really getting upset and frustrated and with unwritten rules,
you're missing the point.
You're focusing on the wrong thing. Your focus is in the other dugout and not in your dugout. And so that's when I talk about celebrating and energy and things like that with our players, I said, look, man, you are not going to hear me get on you at all if you are excited for our guy. As soon as it turns to their guy, that's when I'm going to be on you. And so I think Gabe Kapler is focused on his guys. I think the Nationals may have been focused on Gabe Kapler's guys.
I think these have been beautiful points, and this was the exact reason I wanted to have this conversation, because I knew with having 2 coaches dealing with this world right now, I knew you guys would have some insightful thoughts. I agree with all of them. I think the larger picture where people get really upset is when, like you said, there's a lack of respect for the opponent. If you are cheering for somebody else's failure, that is where we have issues. If you are cheering for your and your team's success, I think that is the ultimate thing. And I think that's where a lot of times the bat flips get a little lost too, is I'm all for a kid bat flipping and going to his dugout. But when the kid is walking down first base and screaming at the pitcher and grabbing his crotch and doing all this stuff, that's not okay. There's a difference. There's a difference there. So, and when it comes to runs, Trevor Plouffe has brought this up a few times on some podcasts of his where he absolutely hates position pitchers pitching, just because at that point that is kind of the signal of a team giving up. And he's brought up a few times of some scenarios of the team just surrendering and no longer finishing the game. And I kind of think that's comical, because the act of another team surrendering would be pretty embarrassing. And I think if you were given the option to do that or throw a position pitcher or not throw a position pitcher, you would probably not throw the position pitcher. But again, I also understand it from the managerial standpoint of you got to save some arms, because especially if it's the first game of the season, you got to figure it out. So again, I think ultimately showing respect to the opponent, but also celebrating your guys and your team's victories are certainly where it's all at. I think where the public, in my opinion, too, gets frustrated with baseball and the unwritten rules is the public outside of the game doesn't know them or understand them. And I don't know how to better educate the public on things like that to where they understand why a team is upset about something. So
it's hard to do that to the public because they never played. If you haven't played, you're not going to understand those things, unfortunately.
And I think Berrick, again, that was a perfect synopsis of the unwritten rules are very situational. It all depends on the situation that's happening. It depends on the history of those two teams. Again, because like Robby and Drew were just saying, if a team's running the score up 15-0, maybe 2 years ago that team was getting run up on 15-0. And so that's why it's happening now. So, again, I think that's just what makes it tough. Is just the public doesn't understand them, and they see baseball players throwing 90 to 100 mile an hour fastballs at people as a very barbaric way of dealing with things. But in baseball, there's not much outside of that you can control. And I think that's why you see a lot of players that understand as long as it's being done the right way, they wear it and go to first, and everybody moves on, and it is what it is. So
kind of like with McCutcheon.
Yeah,
when he got hit, just tell him to do it on the first pitch. Don't throw me a cutter away and then try to come and hit me. Just get it done.
Yeah, 100%. So, well, we've gone over just a little bit, but I think that's okay. That was an important discussion that I wanted to get to. So, does anybody have any closing thoughts they would like to end us on? That you didn't get off your chest that you don't want to wait till next week?
College baseball's fun, by the way. If y'all haven't been watching college baseball's pretty exciting. Tennessee had some crazy things, but they also got a dude that throws 104 miles an hour. If you haven't seen him, Twitter loves him, ESPN loves him. Go check him out. The dude is nuts. He's very good.
Filthy.
What about the assault that happened on that guy who was running around third base?
Yes.
Holy cow.
If you didn't read into that, read into it. There was a very nice thread on that about how he's I believe that pitcher is not liked by a lot of teams, and he's one of those guys that can dish it out but can't take it, is from what I read. And he didn't take it very well, and that's what happened.
The most surprising thing for me on that was he was suspended 4 games.
And then he was kicked off the team.
Yeah, then he's kicked off the team.
I didn't see that part.
Yeah.
But I was like, 4 games? Are we serious?
Here's the crazier part, too.
Kick him off the tour, Doug.
Well, the crazy part, too, is the other team that was playing, the runner got 2 games, but every player that came off the bench got suspended 2 games. Well, they gave the whole team the next 2-game suspension. So the pitcher got 4 games, and their team didn't get any other suspension and got 2 forfeit wins because the rest of their team came off the bench.
Yep.
How's that for you?
They didn't have enough players to play. Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, that was a
fiasco.
Oh, my gosh.
They should throw that kid in jail.
Well, they threw a football player in jail that tackled that referee. So again, I understand that was a referee, but still, this is the same kind of thing where that is completely out of the context of the game. And I think that is a very, very important precedent that should have been set. So
correct.
Yeah, him being kicked off the team was the right thing to do.
Yeah,
could have killed him.
Thanks for bringing that up, Rob. That was that was huge. So, Berrick, anything you want to add?
I think next week maybe we could talk about what happened in New York in the outfield.
Yes.
I think that would be good to talk about, but we'll save that for next week.
Yeah, we'll add it to the agenda. So I appreciate you throwing a teaser out there for the folks out there on YouTube land and listening post-live show to come back and join us next week. We are looking at shifting the time of the podcast up just a little bit, so make sure you have the notifications turned on and that you have liked the channel so that you see that come through. This has been fun, boys. It is always a pleasure to get with you and talk baseball and catch up about life. So I am Scott. This is Drew, Berrick, and Robby. If you would like to email the show, here is our email address last time, first23rdpod@gmail.com. If you have any questions you would like us to go over through the show, we certainly encourage you to find us there. Outside of that, we look forward to catching you guys next week, and we hope you guys have a wonderful week and watch some great baseball out there. See ya.